So here we have an SAT writing section. There are 4 passages with 11 questions each, giving you 44 questions total. And you have 35 minutes to complete the whole thing, so that gives you about 8 minutes per passage with a little bit of time left over at the end to check your work. So one of the key points of this section is that you actually want to read the passage to understand it. You don't want to just jump around in the passage trying to solve the questions, because so many of these questions are not about grammar or vocabulary. They're about the main idea of a paragraph, the main idea of a passage, or about adding, deleting, or moving minor details. So you really want to understand the purpose of each paragraph in the larger reading. So the typical way to begin is just to start reading the first paragraph. But what I often like to do is zoom out and try to get a bird's eye first of the overall passage. I look at the title and I can see this passage is about a life in traffic. And that gives me a tiny bit of information. But then I go down to the thesis, which is the last line of the first paragraph. And I can see that this is actually about transportation planning. So it's about the job, the career of transportation planners. And it's important to know that 1 out of every 4 SAT writing passages will be about careers, potential professions that students might get involved in the future. So we look at the title, we look at the thesis. If you skim through the body paragraphs, especially maybe the topic sentences, the beginning of each paragraph, you can see that certainly this essay is going to be about transportation planners. It's quite clear. And one last but absolutely not least, the final sentence of the passage very, very often is what I call a summary sentence that summarizes the main idea of the passage. It's basically the thesis repeated again. So it's talking about population growth and concerns about environmental sustainability is going to make transportation planners even more important in the future. So this career is on the rise. So I have just given you a really good way to zoom out and immediately understand the main idea. You could probably solve a lot of the main idea questions right now. And you'll find that those are often the hardest ones on the test. So just to give you a general breakdown of the question types, 40% are the ones we just talked about, rhetorical technique. These are the main idea, details, adding and deleting sentences, etc. These questions test your understanding of how information should be arranged in the passage. 20% of the test is grammar. So this includes subject-verb agreement, modifiers, parallelism, really not tricky grammar points. You just need to learn some basic rules and apply them consistently. Another 20% is punctuation. So you're going to need to know how to correctly use commas and semicolons and dashes, and of course that'll be really helpful when you're writing papers in college. And the final 20% of the test is word use. So this includes diction, like vocabulary, idioms, wordiness, and register, which refers to avoiding words that are too formal or too informal. And that is 100% of the test. Now, of course, the best way to become acquainted with the various question types is to just do a practice test. So let's try one right now. I've sent along an exam as well as the answer key. So give it a shot. Don't worry about your timing or your score. Just aim this time at becoming a little bit more familiar with the SAT writing section. Okay guys, I hope that helps, and we'll see you in class.